Anti-Corruption Commission and the Office of the Governor in the Hardap region hosted the National Anti-Corruption Strategy and Action Plan 2021 to 2025. The Ministry of Information and Communication Technology Hardap Regional Office presents the coverage of the regional forum in Mariental.
The regional forums are part of the governance structures and monitoring bodies, and they need to ensure effective implementation of the strategy. The Honourable Regional Governors serves as chairpersons, and in this particular case we are very honoured to have in our midst the Hardap Regional Governor, Honourable Salman April, who is the chairperson of the second Hardap Regional Forum, which we are officiating today. Under the strategy, to be specific, Strategic Objective 2, which is preventing corruption in government offices, ministries, agencies, public enterprises, regional councils, local authority and traditional councils, the ACC's own public education and corruption prevention officials have up to the end of the 2022-2023 financial year managed to conduct 63 corruption risk assessments, and that was involving a variety of institutions. The purpose of this was to determine the corruption vulnerabilities and provide for mitigating strategies to prevent corruption within these institutions, or at the very least a reoccurrence thereof. During this period, there were also 150 ethics and integrity trainings that were conducted. Quite remarkable, I must say. With regard to Strategic Objective 3 of the strategy, which speaks about the strengthening of efforts to deter corruption, we are happy to say that the Anti-Corruption Commission's financial capacity, as required in terms of the strategy, has steadily been increased from 65.7 million in the 2022-2023 financial year to 81.6 million in the 2023 to 2024 financial year, and for the 2024-2025 financial year, our current financial year, it was increased to 105.9 million. Please also allow me to update you on the Commission's achievements in case investigations since its inception up to and inclusive of 2006 to the end of the 2022-2023 financial year. The Commission has referred 768 cases to the Prosecutor General's Office. Of these cases, 567 resulted in prosecution. 343 of the cases were concluded in court, resulting in 201 convictions and 142 acquittals or withdrawals. Furthermore, the Prosecutor General referred 28 cases back for further investigation, whilst with regard to the cases presented during the said period to her office, she declined to prosecute in 104 cases, and 64 of these cases are still awaiting the Prosecutor General's decision. 224 cases remain pending in court. In conclusion, let us remind ourselves to stand united and be in this journey together, this implementation of the strategy, which calls for adherence to principles such as transparency, honesty, and accountability, all of these being essential components for good governance. Important thus remain the participation, evaluation, transparency, and feedback mechanisms. It is thus crucial that we maximize on platforms such as the Hardap Regional Forum to advance the cause of accountability.
I should then appeal to us who are entrusted by the government. And this government is not us sitting here. If we understand the real governance, we are functioning with delegated authorities. The real government are the sovereigns of this country, the people out there. They are the chiefs, the bosses. We are employed by them. And our bosses are worried because we apparently are not starting to do the delegated functions that we have, each one of us, from a premise of integrity. We apparently are insidious, skelm, and oneerlik. Just honest. Remember, it's better to struggle than to want to become rich through all wrong means and wrong avenues. I don't want us to continue to justify poverty in Namibia. And that, whereas some people have got millions, individuals have got millions in their banks, sometimes even richer than the institutions that are supposed to serve people. And you are wondering, how come we are all in the same Namibia? Some people are they are millionaires, and some of us are zeronaires. How does that work? And that's when we start to suspect things and then give wrong whistles to the body. Because we start to think, because April is driving now a Mercedes-Benz, something is wrong. It's not probably wrong, it's just that he sold some animals to get himself that one. So the balance is not right. Let's try to find a quota system in the government when it comes to big tenders. Let's have deliberate interventions where Namibians would be empowered. If the Chinese are to build an office like this, at least we must create 1 millionaire from this thing. Why not? Where are the interventions made in the government to empower Namibians? Unless you become corrupt, you will never become rich in this country with so many rich resources. It's not fair. But this does not qualify us to be corruptists and thieves. Let's continue, brothers and sisters, colleagues and friends, to talk about proper governance. I've seen when I get to some of your offices, the regional staff, when I get to some of your offices, you are closing your books, turning them around. What does it mean? Is there something wrong? Why can't I see if it's a public job? Why am I not supposed to see? Why are you covering? What is confidential to the government, to the governor in this region? There is something odd there. So next time if you turn your page, I will turn the page back. Do want to see. But I know, like I said, for until today at least, we are trying our best to play by the laws. Let's continue to do the best and serve our people with integrity, transparency. That turning is not transparency. Keeping it open is transparency, except for the confidentiality thing that my brother mentioned here. It depends who the person is there. And then the last one is accountability. You should know that anything that you do in an office of the government or even in the private sector, anything that you do from a desk designated to serve people needs accountability. You should be able to respond. It's answerability that they call accountability. You should be able to answer to the people. With that said, let's continue to talk about corruption. You know most of the things happening in the communities.
The battle against corruption. In the shadows of society, evil lurks, threatening the foundation of justice and integrity. Corruption preys on vulnerable communities. Corruption, the betrayal of public trust. Corrupt individuals conspire to enrich themselves at the expense of the common good. Yet, there are voices that refuse to be silent in the face of injustice. The battle against corruption is not easy, but in unity there is strength. Let us strive with unwavering will to break the chains of corruption. For in the fight against corruption, we forge a future pure and bright. I thank you.
We've heard about integrity, how that is valuable to each person, and transparency and the openness, how you flip over the paper or not, that openness of what you are doing and how you are doing it. We have 8 strategic objectives as part of the strategy: increasing the level of political accountability and transparency. We all know political parties get funding. We all know they are at the forefront of driving our democratic processes in the country. This year we are going for elections. So we need to look at the political parties on how they are also conducting themselves. Not just the ACC, but us as citizens. We have an action, for instance, on political financing. Where are they getting their funding from? So they are reporting to the Electoral Commission of Namibia, and ECN reports to us, so that we account for what is being done in that respect. We need to involve the sports fraternity to talk about issues of accountability and to protect that sports fraternity as well. And there was a gentleman here who just read out a poem. He is airing his voice. That's where they come in strategic objective number 8. To engage them in programs and to also give them a voice in the fight against corruption. Most often youth are said they are the future leaders and so forth, so it's good that we bring them and carry them with in the fight. So the aim of the strategy or the objective is to ensure that. In 2022-2023, it was a lot of the Secretariat inducting and telling the people what the strategy is all about. How can you participate and so forth. And then we passed that milestone. We also had a special engagement with civil society just to help them understand what the strategy is all about, the role that they can play, and so forth. So as we are transitioning, you'll see that some of the institutions are more proactive than they were before, because the Secretariat also had to take the effort to go to the specific institutions. We meet one-on-one with them to make sure that we educate them. Then we also have different group sessions so that we have a common understanding with all their institutions. But still some were lagging behind even in the 2022-23 financial year. Yet still we went back again to consult with them, because our late president was very stern that no person shall be left out. So we were also working with that mantra. What we've also seen then, from 2022-2023, the discussion was about how do I participate? But in 2023, they started now talking about the progress on the action and the progress that we're making. For example, the debate around the issue of the Electoral Commission that I was just talking about. How many political parties submitted their audited statement to the Electoral Commission of Namibia? What is in the content of that? Then the Electoral Commission will talk about the challenges they face and how they don't have that enforcement power, and to either deregister and so forth, because it's the Ministry of Finance has a role to play, Parliament has a role to play, and how they need to come together. That's one example. Another one is on issues of procurement. They were highlighted earlier. What are those loopholes in the law? What is the Ministry of Finance or the procurement unit doing to make sure that the law is enforced, those loopholes are closed? Then we come to the Office of the Prime Minister. There are a lot of issues around the Integrity Committee, the public staff rules, and the progress and so forth. So the discussions were more richer versus the first year, where people were trying to find their feet and so forth. We've also seen in 2023-2024 financial year more collaborations coming up. Office of the Prime Minister hosting different activity to empower integrity committees and collaborating with UNDP and so forth, and other institutions where they are. But we also seen in terms of the cluster meetings, where, for example, I've just spoken about the ethical business seminar, which was a collaboration between the different stakeholders within the cluster to make sure that they bring other party members who are, or rather other stakeholders who are not attending the clusters to also contribute to the strategy implementation and the discussion. Halfway into the strategy, there's still a lot more that needs to be done in terms of ownership by the stakeholders.
The forum also highlighted discussion with institutions on strategy and corruption matters in Hardap region and Namibia in general.
Kom ons begin hierso, myself, and then we move to the others. Because what we've realized is we reflect on others, in fact, the problems that we have, and because we do not want to acknowledge that we have those problems.
And also to educate our community a little bit, and also to give them also the opportunity to also raise their concerns about River Town Council especially, or any town council, and also the councillors.
I'd like to know the rights and the protection that whistleblowers enjoy under the Anti-Corruption Act.
If you look at Section 52 of the Anti-Corruption Act, in particular subsection 4 of Section 52, you will see that it actually provides for protection of the whistleblower. If a person were to assist the Anti-Corruption Commission in its investigation, then this provision states that there may be no action of a criminal, civil or disciplinary nature against such a person. But you must remember then it means you should have assisted the Commission with its investigation. If you are malicious with your reporting, of course you will not have that protection and you will actually face the wrath of the law. So you've got to be careful. You have to actually believe that the information that you are providing is, of course, the truth.
We incorporate learners, especially on secondary levels and primary as well, to engage them on what the ACC involves, how they must address these issues whenever they are maybe involved in, or they know of corruption activities in the communities and stuff at schools.
People can take everything away from you, but they cannot take your integrity away from you. The only person that can rob him or herself from integrity is the person self. So don't bother so much about what we are saying. Bother to do the right thing every time, and then you will be safe all the time. When somebody called me yesterday from the office of the ICC, from Director General's office, and I saw on the screen ICC, I said, I did not commit any corruption. How may I help you? Because I know I'm okay for now, at least. I don't know about later, but for now I'm fine. So that's how we are supposed to be. Remember, what we are called for here as public servants belongs to the people of this country. We are administering these things on behalf of these people, and therefore we should be at all times cognizant of the fact that let's take care of what we have been entrusted, because it is not mine, it is ours.
With one voice, rising against corruption, standing for integrity, standing for transparency, standing for accountability. We